Welcome back. We are still on the topic rates. In the previous video, we solved a question on speed. In this video, we are going to solve another question on speed. The question for this video is: a cyclist travels for 2 hours at an average speed of 35 kilometers per hour. Then, for 3 hours at an average speed of 45 kilometers per hour. What is her average speed for the whole journey? So the cyclist made a journey in two parts. For the first part, she traveled for 2 hours at an average speed of 35 kilometers per hour. And for the second part, she traveled for 3 hours at an average speed of 45 kilometers per hour. We are going to use this information to find her average speed for the whole journey. Let's consider this simple illustration. So let's say that here is the cyclist. She started at point A. We know that for 2 hours, she traveled at an average speed of 35 kilometers per hour. So let's say that after 2 hours, she got to the point B. We know that she was traveling at an average speed of 35 kilometers per hour and she traveled for 2 hours. This was the first part of her journey. Then she continued from point B to point C. From point B to point C, she traveled for 3 hours at an average speed of 45 kilometers per hour. So for the second part of the journey, she was moving at an average speed of 45 kilometers per hour and she traveled for 3 hours. We are going to use this information to find her average speed for the whole journey. In order to find her average speed for the whole journey, we will need the total distance covered by the cyclist. So we will need the distance between point A and point B. After that, we will need the distance between point B and point C. When we find the distance between point A and point B and point B and point C, we can add them to get the total distance for the whole journey. When it comes to the time taken to cover this distance, we already have it. We know that for the first part of the journey, the cyclist spent 2 hours. For the second part of the journey, the cyclist spent 3 hours. So the total time taken to cover this distance will be 2 hours plus 3 hours, which is 5 hours. What we don't know is the total distance covered by the cyclist throughout the journey. So first, we will need to find the distance for the first part of the journey and then the distance for the second part of the journey. Now, let's begin. We are going to find the distance for the first part of the journey. We know that for the first part of the journey, the average speed was 35 kilometers per hour and the time taken to cover the distance was 2 hours. We know that average speed is equal to distance covered divided by time taken. We are looking for the distance, so let's represent that with a variable. Let's say x. We know average speed to be total distance covered divided by the time taken. The average speed is 35 kilometers per hour. The distance, we have represented it with x, and the time is 2 hours. So we can find x in this equation. We have x divided by 2 hours is equal to 35 kilometers per hour. It's the same as 35 kilometers per hour is equal to x divided by 2 hours. Let's find x. You multiply the left hand side by 2 hours. You multiply the right hand side by 2 hours. So 2 hours and 2 hours will cancel each other out. So x will be equal to 35 kilometers per hour times 2 hours. 35 times 2 will give us 70. Kilometers per hour times hour will give us kilometers because hour and hour will cancel each other out. So x is equal to 70 kilometers. So it means that for the first part of the journey, the cyclist covered 70 kilometers in 2 hours. So we now have the distance for the first part of the journey. We need the distance for the second part of the journey. So let's find that. The second part of the journey, the average speed changed to 45 kilometers per hour, and the cyclist spent 3 hours. So let's find the distance. Let's represent that with a variable. Let's say y. Now, we know that average speed is equal to total distance covered divided by time taken. Average speed is 45 kilometers per hour. Total distance is now y, and time is 3 hours. So let's solve this linear equation for y. We multiply the left hand side by 3 hours. We multiply the right hand side by 3 hours. So 3 hours and 3 hours will cancel each other out. 3 hours times 45 kilometers per hour will give us 135 kilometers, because 3 times 45 will give us 135. Hours times kilometer per hour will give us kilometers, because hour and hour will cancel each other out. So y is equal to 135 kilometers. This means that for the second part of the journey, the cyclist covered a distance of 135 kilometers in 3 hours. Now, we have the distance for both the first part of the journey and the second part of the journey. We have the time for both the first part of the journey and the second part of the journey. So we can now find the average speed for the whole journey. The average speed for the whole journey will be the total distance covered by the cyclist divided by the total time taken to cover that distance. The total distance covered by the cyclist will be the distance for the first part of the journey, which is 70 kilometers, plus distance for the second part of the journey, which is 135 kilometers. And we will divide it by the time for the first part of the journey, which is 2 hours, plus time for second part of the journey, which is 3 hours. 70 kilometers plus 135 kilometers will give us 205 kilometers. 2 hours plus 3 hours will give us 5 hours. 205 divided by 5 will give us 41. Kilometer divided by hour will give us kilometer per hour. So 205 kilometers divided by 5 hours will give us 41 kilometers per hour. This means that for the whole journey, the cyclist was traveling at an average speed of 41 kilometers per hour. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to this channel for more videos. This is the end of the videos on rates. I hope they have been very helpful to you. Pick more examples and try your hands on them. If you have a problem solving any of the questions that you try, you can share it on any of the Maths Center social media handles, and we will be glad to assist you. Bye-bye.